Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Friday, January 17th, 2014. This morning I am beginning with an activist post article, West Virginia water declared safe, sort of, maybe, as the 60-mile chemical plume heads to Ohio. And I have another article, it's from Natural News, it's about another region of the world. Contaminated Japanese rivers unleash perennial supply of radiation into the Pacific Ocean. And I don't have an article about the Gulf of Mexico, but I'm tying these together. Some of the worst, nastiest toxins have been released in regions where they will impact some of the most beautiful areas to live. The Gulf of Mexico, West Virginia, the West Coast being hit by radiation. Can anybody say Agenda 21 here? A suggestion was made, I think it was on Facebook, and I may have even mentioned it before, that are these things intentionally being done in order to force people to move out of beautiful natural regions so that it's easier to enforce Agenda 21 at some point down the road, and the few remaining holdouts will be able to be flushed out. Now, whether they do this through convincing us to move or killing us, it really amounts to the same thing, doesn't it? Even if they're slowly killing us, we tend to have difficulty placing blame for something that happens slowly. But we need to realize that there are people who are intentionally slowly killing us. And Benjamin Fulford frequently writes about the people who caused the earthquake that caused the tsunami being punished and giving account, facing justice, being brought to justice for what they did in releasing this amount of radioactivity. And we must bring these people to justice. We must learn how to protect ourselves from these toxins, how to detox, how to filter water, how to survive these kind of emergency situations, and continue to battle. And from Natural News, here's an article about just that, not giving up the fight. California County proposes GMO labeling legislation. And the first paragraph is, even though California's Prop 37 failed to pass at the polls, the push for mandatory labeling of genetically modified organisms is still alive and well in California's wine country. As reported by the Napa Valley Register, the Napa County Local Food Advisory Council is set to issue a formal recommendation to the local Board of Supervisors, urging agencies and officials at the state and federal levels to support mandatory GMO labeling, the latest effort in the ongoing fight for the right to know. And I'm not really in favor of statutory regulatory law, and I'm even going to get to that. It's probably most effective if we vote with our dollars and just stop buying GMOs. Don't be lazy. Don't require this kind of labeling. Read the label. Read what's there yourself. If it's not organic and it contains ingredients that are known to typically be GMO, like corn, and that includes HFCS, which might only appear on a label as sweetener. If it's not more clearly defined, don't buy it. Organic, does not contain GMOs because GMOs are created to accommodate pesticides. And if pesticides are not used, then there would be no point in having GMO crops, except to poison us all, of course. But unless something is labeled organic or non-GMO, you're probably going to have to really do the homework and read the entire label. And if anything raises a flag, just don't buy it. Vote with your dollars. Stop supporting these people. Here's another means to resist from the 10th Amendment Center. Northern resistance to slavery is the blueprint to stop NSA spying. You know, this country has a history of resisting tyrants, and we need to study and remember our history, and that can give us clues as to how to resist it this time and what we are facing currently. This just came onto my radar this morning, so I thought I would share a little bit about it. I don't believe there's any coincidence, and when something pops up, I usually try not to ignore it. A YouTube video, Admiralty Law, Common Law, and the Sovereign. The more we can understand about statutory regulatory law, I think the more empowered we will be. Some people believe that sovereigns even have a choice of whether they want to obey statutory regulatory law. And of course, common law, we are all held to that standard because that's the basics. That's basically do no harm, but it's expressed through some historical, ancient English law and the Ten Commandments, and the common law is solid, needs to be obeyed. It has roots in what some people call natural law now. Wiccans, I have learned, also call natural law, do as thou wilt. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about do as thou wilt. The law, the standard that we live by and that is reasonable is do no harm. And for just a little more understanding, common law, natural law, and classical liberalism. Unfortunately, it's on a website called youshouldbuygold.com, and that figures prominently here in the graphic. I'm not recommending that anybody buy gold, just for the record. That's up to you. I'm not as sold on it as some people, but I do believe in having, of course, some metals on hand in case there's an economic collapse. But that's a whole other subject. What I'm focused on here is common law, natural law, and classical liberalism. It behooves us all to understand that, the foundational principles of law, and can help us protect ourselves from being bossed around, pushed around by tyrants, okay? That's a good thing. Here from American National Militia, nullification bills introduced all around the country on various issues, and more coming soon. And this is just for a bit of encouragement. Here's another bit of encouragement from Oath Keepers. No-fly list challenged. Stanford student wrongly labeled a terrorist, judge says. So there is progress being made, and we just need to stay focused and continue the good fight. For Mercy Triumphs is an article from Fritz Springmeier, Lessons from History, Christ versus the Mystery Religions. And I'm sharing this because, again, no coincidences. I was just discussing some of these ideas with friends last night, and lo and behold, Fritz has written about them. So I believe that this is something that is significant for the moment. If we can give a little time to understanding this, where there's overlap, and people have been confused concerning some of this, where believing that Christianity has been, the overlap has confused some people, and Christianity, it really is not a part of this historically, the mystery religions. And Fritz breaks this all down really well. He has a good mind, a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge, and I think we can all stand to learn from Fritz. And I'm skipping just to sharing some of these natural news articles on networked blogs instead of opening the links, and of course the links will be in the notes in the details section. But there were so many here that I just wanted to scroll through them. Research shows that bee pollen can improve skin, increase fertility, and more. And another article that's more of a warning: nearly all gum and candy contain either toxic GMO corn syrup or nerve-disrupting aspartame. Again, read labels and find an alternative maybe to these kinds of gums. You might be able to find one. There was one that was cinnamon flavored that was available that you pretty much had to purchase online, that still was made with the traditional ingredients that it had been made with for a long time, but I don't even know if that's around anymore. So if you love gum, be careful. Read the labels. Stay balanced this winter using traditional Chinese nutrition. Traditional Chinese medicine is most well known for acupuncture, but that is just part of the comprehensive medical system, which can help maintain balance throughout our seasonal ebbs. So if you're struggling with getting through this year's winter, you might want to look into that. This is probably my favorite of these articles from Natural News. Earthing, the ultimate healing technique. We are separated from the Earth's magnetic field when we are lifted up above it by foundations, and when we wear shoes. We're not making contact with the earth. Now, leather-soled shoes, and there are some shoes that are especially crafted. I think they're called plugs, to allow the flow of the earth's magnetic field into your feet, which of course is very natural. That's what people have been benefiting from for many, many years, many, many millennia, actually. And there's some historical stuff about the red carpet being a sign that the blood of the elite is well, first of all, they're walking on the blood of peasants, but that they are connected to the land, and they have tried to lift us up off the land. They've tried to remove the rest of us off the land. And there are legal and spiritual implications to that, but there's also just this very practical idea that through contact with the earth, through touching the earth, walking barefoot, we derive health benefits. And I find it a very interesting idea. And I think it's natural. Children always want to be barefoot, right? And if you have some nice grass outside, you might want to go walk around. Or, I suppose touching the snow could also permit earthing. And of course it has to be skin to contact, or sometimes through leather soles. And for our last article of the day, study shows black tea's theaflavins protect from cadmium-induced testicular toxicity. And I'm a tea drinker, so learning that black tea can protect against cadmium-induced toxicity is good news for me. And with that good news, I am thanking you for joining me for today's 99th Monkey Liberty News. And I wish you a peaceful and blessed weekend. Remember that article from yesterday about vitamin P. So experience some pleasure this weekend, if at all possible. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.